Alrighty, welcome to the 2021 French GP strategy analysis for Mercedes. Today I'll be running through the strategy comparison for Hamilton and Bottas, position movements, and the race pace. So let's go straight into it, strategy comparison. So as we know, those who watch the race, very similar strategy you can see here. Hamilton coming in 2 laps after Bottas, and as I stated in my race overview video, that extra lap probably cost Mercedes the victory for Hamilton. Really would have thought they'd bring him in immediately after Bottas. But otherwise, sticking with the field in terms of their strategy, and then looking at position movements, Hamilton getting that, starting second, but getting the lead into that second corner there, then being undercut by Verstappen, having the lead all the way till the end there, as we know, Verstappen overtaking him on the second last lap. Bottas started third, kept that position for a long time, and then moved up into second after Verstappen's second pit stop. Verstappen getting past him there, with Bottas making the mistake into the chicane, and then Perez also getting past Bottas. So second and fourth for Mercedes, and definitely a tough weekend for them given their expectations going into it. So having a quick look at the race pace now between the two teammates. So here we've got the gap between the two teammates. As you can see, Hamilton was leading Bottas the entire time. During that first stint, the lead got up to about 5 seconds before Bottas came in and did the pit stop. Then Hamilton out there for the extra lap before coming in. And as we saw, Hamilton came out just behind Verstappen, and Bottas was in striking distance behind Hamilton for a very long time. For 5 or 6 laps there, but with Hamilton having the DRS being close to Verstappen, there wasn't really an opportunity for Bottas to overtake Hamilton. And realistically, the fact Hamilton and Bottas were behind cars that entire time really did also hurt their tyre performance and the subsequent degradation of their tyres. And as you can see, as time went on, the gap actually increased quite significantly towards the end, over 10 seconds between Hamilton and Bottas, which relatively significant, especially compared to the pace that Bottas seemed to show throughout the weekend. And even out to lap 30 or so, he was still within a few seconds of Hamilton. So definitely Bottas probably suffered a little bit further on the tyres there, degrading away towards the end. And part of that maybe because he was behind Verstappen and Hamilton, or Hamilton doing a really good job protecting his tyres. So looking at lap times here now across all the laps, as you can expect, as the race goes on, lap times start to decrease, but at the end there, and you can see Hamilton inching up as you saw in the race overview video, tyres really starting to go off for him a little bit towards the end there, the last 5 laps or so, whereas Bottas, last 2 laps were fine, but his tyres really seem to go off and give that variable performance a little bit earlier, around lap 43, 44 there. As you can see, it was actually pretty close between the two of them until right those last 10 laps. So if anything, great showing from Bottas this weekend. Even though he did end up 4th, I think after the past few weekends, there are a lot of questions around Bottas and whether he will stay at Mercedes next year, and I'm not saying this performance will save him there, but I thought it was overall a pretty good weekend from Bottas, and he kept with Hamilton for a large portion of the race. Really looking here, so just taking out those pit stops just so we get a better insight into what the actual race pace is once you take out those slower laps. First part of the race, quite close between them, and again this second part, but towards the end Bottas actually had quite a few laps there which were significantly slower than Hamilton. And then as you can see there, Hamilton really slowing down the last 5 laps. Here we go, so just looking at the difference between each lap. As I said there, the first 15 laps, really neck and neck, really, really close. Hamilton having a slight advantage towards the end of that stint, but overall really good job. Bottas, well, as we saw, Bottas almost got out in front of Hamilton when Hamilton came back from his pit stop, and as with Verstappen, just look at the comparison in terms of the in-lap and then also the out-lap. Bottas a lot quicker compared to the respective for Hamilton. Really, really close those first 5 laps out after the second pit stop, and then Hamilton really starting to pull away here and consistently punching in laps quicker than Bottas. And if we go across to the histogram chart here, so anyway, here this is a count towards Hamilton being quicker, this side Bottas being quicker, and as you can see, Definitely more laps for Hamilton here, and actually quite a few more in this 0.4 to 0.6 region per lap. That's probably the difference. If Bottas was quicker, he was a little bit quicker, 0.1, 0.2, but Hamilton, bulk of his positives were actually 0.5, 0.6, which really did make a big difference in the end between the two teammates. So there you go, that's the summary for Mercedes for this weekend. Hamilton coming down on top, as we might expect, but I have to say, a decent showing from Bottas, especially bouncing back from last weekend. So if you like this video, give thumbs up to the channel and the video, subscribe. Any suggestions, send them through. Otherwise, check out the other videos from this race week.